Well, caring for a loved one is a tough job, even tougher if you aren't physically in the same place to care for and support your loved one.
About 5 to 7 million caregivers in this country are long-distance caregivers, and that number is projected to double by 2020. Here to talk about long-distance caregiving and the unique challenges it poses is health and aging expert Anthony Cirillo. Anthony, good morning. Thank you so much for being here to talk about this.
Good morning.
Really is a big thing, right? Let's talk about some of the challenges that are faced by caregivers who are long-distance caregivers at a distance.
Right, and so there's three things. First of all is you're at a distance, so you don't always know what's going on, and that can kind of drive you crazy if you don't know what's going on. So that's number one. The second is, I also joke because I'm Catholic, it's that Catholic guilt, but it's really any kind of children who have guilt about not being there. And then the third one, and this is actually documented, it actually costs more to be a family caregiver at a distance. First of all, you have the travel if you're going back to see people. In my own case with Mom many years ago when she was in Florida, we actually helped her with getting into a condo because I joked that we had to separate the combatants, my sister and my mother, who were living together at the time. And so it actually can wind up costing you more money as a long-distance caregiver as well.
So here's it. You got this distance that really is an impediment between you. So what should you be doing as a caregiver when you do visit?
So you want to make the most of your visits, obviously, and I always tell people use all of your senses when you're at the home. And as we approach Thanksgiving, the holidays, it's usually a time when, if you haven't seen a loved one, you may have not seen them for 6 months or even a year. So you kind of want to take an assessment of the situation, look at their overall well-being, for example, not just their medical well-being, but their overall well-being. Take a look at the house. Are they adequately nourished? Is there food in the refrigerator? Is there spoiled food in the refrigerator? Are the bills piling up? Are there solicitations? Is there any signs of neglect or abuse? So you really want to take a full picture of what's going on, and then from there, when you leave, you kind of want to have a little bit of a support system, maybe the neighbors who can look in on her. Even the postman can understand if something's going on in the house, if the mail hasn't been picked up or things like that. So it's not a full support system, but at least it's a start to get you on your way.
Sure. Well, Anthony, at some point, though, might somebody need professional help? I mean, if you can't be there all the time, or you just can't afford to travel all the time, you might need some professional help. That seems overwhelming, I think. Where do you start with that process? Yeah,
and sometimes you're alone and you don't have anybody, and sometimes you have siblings in the same geographic area as mom or dad who just don't want to participate. So, one place to start is an area agency on aging. In this case, we have Central Line Area Agency on Aging, and you might want to go to them and ask them essentially, what can you do? And they can maybe go in and assess your loved one, and they may conclude that they just need Meals on Wheels or something like that, or they may send you to some advice on an adult day or home care. You want to look at nonprofits in your community, veterans organizations, even faith-based organizations, because in our parish in Huntersville we have a respite program that's 1 day a week, doesn't cost anybody anything as well. And then if you really do need help, they used to call these folks geriatric care managers, and they now call them aging life specialists, but you can hire one of those folks who really can manage their loved one's care while you're at a distance.
Does that cost a lot of money?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on how you pay for it. It could be on an hourly basis, could be on a project basis, but home care itself is a $17 an hour on average cost. So a geriatric care manager, could be a little bit more.
Okay.
So the question now is, what can you do from a distance then? I mean, you told me what they could do. What can you do?
Well, you can do a lot. I mean, so you can manage finances for mom or dad. You could pay bills. You can make doctor's appointments. You could research medical conditions. You could purchase supplies. You could even do grocery shopping from people from a distance. And probably the most important thing you could do is call every day. Yeah.
Just to check in on
Just
them.
to check in.
Technology makes it certainly a lot easier, too, to be able to help. As you mentioned, you could buy somebody's groceries for them online.
Right.
Things like that, right?
Right. And so there's a fine line between intrusion and quality and safety. And you've heard stories of loved ones who were in a nursing home or assisted living where, families hide cameras, to see what's going on. Well, you can obviously put cameras in the house as well. But there's also sophisticated systems that can detect whether or not, for example, a refrigerator has been open in some time, or there's been inactivity, or if somebody has, they can tell if somebody's fallen, or if they've not opened their medication bottles, things like that. You can also install digital locks on the door, and you've seen now the doorbells with the cameras and the voice added. So at a distance, you can actually let in a vendor who's coming to service mom or dad, or you just saw Amazon, they're going to let people in the house. So you can give people codes. I've done this with vendors who I trust, who have come in my house and have done things, and we gave them a special code just for them. So, and then finally, there's telemedicine, where you can work with your doctors in terms of monitoring blood pressure and all these other things from a distance. So there's actually lots more that you can do that you probably don't realize you can do.
That's true. I didn't think about all of that. Anthony, thank you so much. We always learn something every time you visit. TheAgingExperience.com is Anthony's website to go to for more information. TheAgingExperience.com. Thank you so much.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll still